What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and this video might be a little confusing because I'm going to talk in, yesterday, today terms because it's just after midnight and I waited to do this video now. So, yesterday morning, that's yesterday morning in general, Square Enix had a press conference about the future of Final Fantasy XI. Now, for those of you who don't know, Final Fantasy XI was an MMORPG that launched 13 years ago in 2002 on the PS2 and then eventually on the PC and Xbox 360. Now, essentially, they announced that it's going to be cancelled. It's like not immediate, but it's a long-term plan for cancellation kind of thing. I'll go into detail on it now in a second anyway, but for a game that predates WoW and is still going longer is pretty impressive. So, where to start? Yeah, right. So, first off, they're coming up with the final new scenario content. And this is going to be called Rhapsodies of Vana'diel. Vana'diel is the world that Final Fantasy XI is set in, by the way, if you've never played it. But chances are, if you're watching this video, you already know about this kind of stuff. So, it's called Rhapsodies of Vana'diel. Vana'diel, I've never 100% sure on how to pronounce it. But it's going to have stories, it's going to be story-related stuff for all the kind of ties in the end of all the major expansion packs. There was 5 of them in total. It's going to have all of those kind of tied in together and finally close up that and the main story. So that's going to come in sorry, I'm tired. It's going to come in 3 patches, 3 major content patches over this year. They're going to release in May, August and November, and that's essentially come November, that's basically the end of the game. Now the servers are still going to be up after November. Personally, I don't think they'll be up for long. I'll go into that in a minute, but the last content patch is in November. In March of next year, March 2016, PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360 support will finally be dropped. That's a big one because all these years, many updates and features have been denied to PC players or 360 players because of PS2 limitations. They wanted to design stuff that could be put in on the PS2 and the 360. Obviously, the PS2 is considerably less powerful than the 360, but they wanted to put in stuff that wouldn't give PC or 360 users an advantage. So they left it at that, basically, and they just, because of that, they had admitted a good few times that they couldn't put in a specific feature that was asked for or anything like that because they couldn't get it to work on the PS2. So that's a big one. Once that's all going to happen next March. And after that, the Windows server is going to remain up until it becomes non-profitable to do so. Now, personally, it would surprise me if the game would last very long after November, or if it did last all the way till March, it would surprise me if it lasted very long after March, because of the 3 major content patches that are coming this year. They've said that there'll be no new content patches post-November. There'll be small updates and things like that, but they will all be things like quality of life improvements, bug fixes, and balance issues, things like that. But there's going to be no new content after November. So, I mean, I played Final Fantasy XI for 5 years, maybe even longer. Kind of, some of it was off and on, all added up, so it's a little sketchy. But I watched his presentation yesterday morning, and oh, I don't know, man, hit me right in the feels. That's that's all I can say. You hear some of that music. I mean, you see the logo, you hear the music. There's the character creation music. You had the original intro music. Some of the more memorable different things about Final Fantasy 15 situation. Sorry, Final Fantasy 15. Sorry, I'm installing the 15 demo to my left here, so that's probably why. Final Fantasy 11. It's just all. It's crazy to think it's actually gone, or it's actually going to go. I mean, I knew it was going to happen at some point, but it's just nuts. Because I'm not gonna lie, you know, like I said, I played that game for many years. I made many really good friends on there, a lot of which I'm still really good friends with elsewhere on the internet. We play games together. We talk fucking almost multiple times a week for most of us. But you know, some of the memories of the last couple of years, Final Fantasy 11, were just fantastic. The game, and obviously the game has changed a lot in the last couple of years, especially with you know, the latest expansion pack, and even before that, when they had the Abbacy expansions. But I mean, even before that and even after that, I mean, I still had some great times and some extremely fond memories about it. I feel like I can't even portray how much that some of it means to me, and some of it, how great some of it made me feel about it. But I mean, it's still pretty fucked up and sad to see it go. I mean, it is a completely different game. I went back and I played the free week. I think it was late last year when they had a free login week. If you've ever had an account, I went back in. I mean, it's nostalgia for you. It isn't what it used to be, but that's essentially what's going to happen anyway for Final Fantasy 11 and their main content patches, or lack of which, or support, or whatever. So I'll mention this other part that was talked about in the presentation as well. They're basically going to release a new, I'll call it online RPG, but what they classified as was an MMMRPG, massive multiplayer mobile RPG. So what it's going to be is called Final Fantasy Grandmasters. Now, from what I understood, which was all true fan translations and the official information posted on the Final Fantasy 11 forum, and what I could glean from the actual stream itself, which was minimal because I don't speak Japanese, but it's going to be kind of a single player slash MMM. I was going to say MMO, but you know, MMM kind of version of 11, because it uses it seems to use a lot of the locations, a lot of the you know, settings, enemies, styles, attacks. I know you could say that, you know, it's Final Fantasy, they reuse all that stuff all the time, but this one looks like it's lifted and copied specifically straight from 11. So it looks like they're kind of trying to make it live on as you know, as a Final Fantasy 11 kind of, I won't say tribute, or just a way to keep 11 alive as a main numbered Final Fantasy. Yeah, who knows how that's going to be. It's currently only scheduled to be released in Japan, but you know, I'll just mention it just for the sake of it anyway. That's going to be the app version basically, so it's all a mobile game. I'm not really going to talk anymore about the app kind of thing, but actually, now that I think about it, that's pretty much the end of the video. So I don't know, I'm going to shed, well, I've already shed some manly tears about Final Fantasy 11 ending, because most of me never thought it would actually happen, or at least I knew it would happen, but I never thought it would. I don't know. It seemed like it could go on forever, despite dwindling populations. Most of the servers currently run around 400 to 800 people on peak times at the moment. So it's no surprise that it's happening. It's still a shock, and it still hits home in the fields even. Sorry, again, it's 2 a.m. I'm tired, but I'll give you just my own personal story on this. When Final Fantasy XI first released in Europe, I think it was like 2004 at this point. I remember buying it on. I had my local GameStop had the PC copy, which I still have. It's like 11 CDs. They're not even DVDs. It's like 11 CDs. It came with Final Fantasy XI, Rise of the Zillart expansion pack, and Chains of Chromatia expansion pack. It was all in the one box. It's a cool looking box. Still have it upstairs. And like I said, it came with like fucking 9 or 11 CDs or something. It's all on. And I had Windows ME at this point, and that was a nightmare. So I eventually got it working, and I played it for a few weeks. And it was essentially in around my first MMO. I can't remember what came first, be it Phantasy Star Online, original Phantasy Star Online, or this, but it was all along. I think it would have been Phantasy Star, but it was all a long time ago, and I played it for a few weeks. And while I wanted it to be better, I wanted to play it and get into it more. It was really hard to. The internet wasn't what it was now. I was actually on dial-up, and internet communities and all like that kind of didn't exist like they do today. So it didn't go too well. So fast forward about 2 more years to 2006, and I picked up a cheap Xbox copy because a friend of mine who worked in a store, he was able to hook me up through some loophole for some special edition pre-order only bonus kind of thing, but we fudged some details, and I managed to get he could hook me up with that through buying Final Fantasy XI. But I'd never planned on playing it again. It was just sitting there, and a couple of months later, I was talking to a friend of mine. Actually, the friend who I mentioned at the end of my Shenmue video, it was him I was talking to, and we were struggling to find something to play one night, and I told him that tomorrow he should pick up Final Fantasy XI on his Xbox 360, and we both play that. Of course, this was the Xbox is just released, so relatively new, so voice chat and all that was pretty handy. We had both got broadband at that point, but we tried that anyway. We put it in, we installed it all, updated it, got all the account info, all that kind of shit, and then it was so hard to get into. It was really unenjoyable. I think we played it just that night. I think I actually continued to play for the rest of the week. I think maybe he did too. I can't remember. It was 9 years ago, but it didn't last more than a week at max, maybe even just a day, and we left it at that. So fast forward a few more years, 2000. Well, I don't even know what year it was actually, but I started playing Phantasy Star Universe on the Xbox 360. And I made a bunch of new friends and that and all, and I'd play with them. I'd come home from work at the time, and I'd play with them to all hours of the day, and I'd play it all my day off with them and all that kind of shit. And eventually, I quit, as usually you do. But then in 2008, I broke my knee in a motorbike accident, and I was stuck in bed, and I was struggling to have anything to do. This was before the time of the Xbox Live party system, so you could really only do one-on-one chats, or you'd have to use in-game chat. So at that point, I decided my friends were still playing Phantasy Star Universe, so I was like, right, I'm going to go back and start playing Phantasy Star Universe with them. So I went back, started playing it with them. It was all good. The expansion pack had come out at that time, so there was a lot for me to catch up on, a lot of stuff to do. And we continued playing on that for a while. And a few weeks, maybe a few months later, most of them quit Final Fantasy, or most of them quit Phantasy Star Universe. And they went back to Final Fantasy 11. Now, I had never knew they'd played Final Fantasy 11, but because most of them had gone back to that, I was like, well, you know, fuck it, I'll go play that with you. So that's how it started. December 29th, 2008 was when my proper Final Fantasy 11 tenure started. That lasted for a few years. It was a few years solid. Then after that, it was kind of sporadic. I'd quit for maybe 2 months and then play for 6 and quit for 3 and play for 4, and eventually it added up to about somewhere between 5 and 6 years. But that's my story. So obviously, you know, that Final Fantasy 11 really started at a fairly major time in my life, and it continued on, and yeah, that's it. It's still sad to see it go and shock. But I'm going to leave this video here. Let me know in the comment section below about your whole, any issue you may have with Final Fantasy 11, positive, negative, you know, whatever. I want to hear it all. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Comment, like, subscribe. Thank you for watching. You can follow me on Twitter, which I'm getting set up. I'll have the Twitter username below. And all I can say is Squaresoft, which you were when you actually started developing it, and Square Enix, Final Fantasy 11. Thank you for the massive amount of great times, to all the friends I've made, all the friends I still have, and all the memories. They're going to live on pretty much forever, and they're all going to be remembered fondly. Take care.